Hey, welcome back to another exciting edition of Shoe and Show. This week is the second part of the conversation that I had with Dr. Dean William Edwards and Sean Williams at the Library of Congress just a few weeks ago. The library invited us to come and conversate about how sneaker culture is a part of broader American culture, particularly around the 250th anniversary of our nation. So we spent an evening just talking through kind of their perspectives and how their background shaped the way they came into the sneaker industry and the ways in which they view it as a cultural phenomenon here in the United States. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation I had with D. Wayne and Sean.
You're both educators, right? You have Pencil-Lewis College of Business and Design in Detroit, and HBCU is dedicated, well, one was reestablished, but also is dedicated to design, not just footwear design, broader design. And so that's something to be very proud of. My question for both of you is the kind of the sneaker literacy of your students that you work with now. Like you know, we were on like the cutting edge of this industry as it emerged, and we saw the beginning. But now you're with sneaker natives, right? And you deal with them every single day in the classroom. Sean, maybe we'll start with you. What's the difference that you notice in the new generations as it relates to their engagement with sneakers when it's just always been for them?
3 words. They don't care. And I mean that in the best way possible. We were sold the savvy marketing, you know, the Jordan campaigns with Mars Blackman, the Bonos, you know, the Dion's, you know, all of the things that represented the star athlete and his shoes and you wanting to be like him, right? Gen Z don't want to be like any of them. None of them. They want to be themselves, which I truly applaud and I herald, is that they step up and wake up and step out every day wanting to be themselves and do it their way, right? And I think where a lot of brands get lost, a lot of corporations, period, get lost with today's youth is they're not paying attention to the fact that they literally want to be themselves the same way we just spoke about with the spirit of hip hop in the 70s. Right? So educating them has to be a lot different. You know, I'm sure Dr. Edwards would say the same as I would say. You got to let them do more talking than you these days. The old way of educating was we do all the talking, you do the listening, and do what we say. Where that process is kind of reversed, where we got to listen to them and see what makes them function and do the things that they do first and adjust our style of trying to pass on our knowledge to them, right? One of the things that stands out the most these days in seeing like the entire shift in what brands are being worn is one word, comfort. Raise your hand if you think comfort first when you buy sneakers now. Look, almost the whole room is raising their hand. Now, if I would have asked that question 10 or 15 years ago, nobody would raise their hand because we just only cared about the style and who it was, whose shoes we were going to wear. And to be honest, a lot of the shoes we wore back in the days were god-awful, uncomfortable. But we did it for the style and for, you know, all the things that made us want to buy those. You know, and I'm happy that, you know, they step up every day and want to do it differently and be themselves. You know, I just wish that there was a little more openness to us passing on the traditional ways of doing things and having them put their own spin on it, if you will. Like, I think a high degree of mentorship is gone from both sides. Young people are resisting being mentored, and older people are like, fuck you, I don't want to mentor you. You don't want to listen. But I think in our space that needs to come back because it'll make for a better industry, you know, both on the business and culture side with what I do with social studies and what Dee is doing with Pencil-Lewis College with, you know, making sure that creatively people are top notch. You know, that's what I see out here now is the need for that, but I also can see and applaud and celebrate them for waking up every day and going, we ain't not gonna do it your way, sorry.
Well, let me ask you this, Dwayne, and to piggyback off of it, is part of the problem also the fragmentation of culture in a sense? Like, I remember when D Brown, we're talking about pumps backstage, and I remember when D Brown, the Charlotte All-Star game in 91, somewhere in there.
91, yep.
Did the pump, slam dunk with his eyes, covering his eyes, and it became this cultural moment that really propelled Reebok pumps forward, right? Now the media landscape is so fragmented. Everyone has their own silos, their own information flows. We talk about it all the times with politics, and everyone has their own truth and news, but it's also true in cultural experiences. Is that part of the issue, is the fact that we're not all looking at the same thing anymore when it comes to culture?
I think partially, yeah, but at the same time, Sean touched on it earlier, like our number one goal was like, there's two questions growing up you didn't want to hear walking on the street. What size shoe you wear? Nah, because that means they're going to try to take your shoes. Yeah. The other one was, where'd you get them?
Yep.
You never answered either question, right?
Or you lied about it.
Yeah. And so, like, our goal was to have something you've never seen before or not to be like anybody else.
Yep.
Right? But today, like, everybody want to be like each other in some cases from a fashion perspective, but I think it's the inputs, right?
Yeah.
There's more digital or information inputs for them to see and have access to things.
I have a quote, sorry to cut you off, but I have a quote that I say that speaks directly to that when I teach in middle schools and high schools. Kids today pay more to look the same than we ever paid to look different.
Yep, that's true. That's a fact. That I'm not like that. Like ain't nobody got these shoes on in this room. No. Nobody.
We got a trophy for you if you do.
Yeah. If you do, yes.
Trophy's yours.
You get all three of them, actually. Where like that was a badge of honor to be different and to be original. And when we're teaching our students, I'm old school, and I'm not shy, or I don't hide it. Like, I let them know up front, like, you might not like some of the things I'm about to tell you. So I'm giving you the forewarning that I need to trick you into learning, because to Sean's point, if I try to teach you the traditional way, it won't work. So you have to kind of understand what makes them tick and what makes them move and what they relate to and what they gravitate to. The beauty of it is we teach sneakers, but I've taught kids geometry through sneakers. If I knew geometry, if I could do sneakers in geometry class when I did it, I would have did way better at geometry than what I did. So what we do is we use all 4 letters of STEM and we add 2 more. We add an A and a D, so it's STEAMed. The A is for art, the D is for design. And so what we do is we break down the everyday things that we should be learning and understanding through the lens of sneakers to make it more relevant for them to understand, like, all right, we might have something that you need to know, right? But at the same time, though, to Sean's point, you can't force yourself upon them because that's when they shut down. Right, and so for me, it's a lot of balancing who's in front of me and trying to help understand who you are, and then I know how to navigate and how to get to you. But I do start with the fact that when we were children, there was this song called "You Had the Whole World in the Palm of Your Hands." That shit is for real now. A phone, you could be anywhere in the world with a phone. I had the Yellow Pages. How many of y'all know what the Yellow Pages is? So
quite a few people in this room that know the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, I level set with our students is, if I was able to get this far with the Yellow Pages, and you got a phone that you could be anywhere in the world, you have no excuse to be better than me. And that registers on some levels. And then I have to trick them into getting there. Because I think the social media side has deteriorated their confidence and their belief in what's possible, besides the randomness of some people. They want to be a creative director. You interview them for an entry-level job. What do you want to do? I want to be a creative director. Okay. Good luck. It won't be here, but good luck. But no, it's a different audience. But I think sneakers bridges that gap, though.
Yeah.
It does bridge the gap.
Yeah.
I mean, as I close out, I think we have a few moments for audience questions. So if you have a question, I don't know, Andrew, if we have mics running around or people can kind of holler at us. But as I'm thinking through the themes you guys have laid out in front of us, it's this individualism that was really critically important on the fashion side of things. And I think about kind of the foundation of this nation, and out of many come one, right? It's this notion that we are individuals. We have value as declared in the Declaration of Independence. It's given to us these inalienable rights, and we want to express ourselves. And so that's the beauty of the American spirit, I think, to draw in. And I think that's why in the 20th and 21st century sneaker culture has had the impact. It's provided that creative pathway for all of us to express ourselves in a different way. It's not just brown, black, and white shoes, brown shoes that we have to put on. It's this expressive opportunity that allows us as Americans. And to me, we're just getting started, right? It seems like it's exploding beyond belief at this point.
Going too far. Like when you have some Ruffles sneakers and Pizza Hut sneakers, like, come on, man.
I was going to ask you, which trends did you not?
No, that's not what it was for. That's not what it's for.
I'm happy that the resale.
The Ruffles sneakers?
What's that?
You didn't get the Ruffles one.
I didn't.
Okay. Got the Dorito ones.
I got the Doritos.
Okay.
I'm happy that we're seeing now in the secondary economy of sneakers a downturn. One of the things that made us who we are with footwear is truly leaning into the culture of it, right? I have sneakers in my closet from countries I haven't been to. I have friends in countries I haven't been to. Because of the communal nature of which I've built relationships and friendships around the world with folks through our joint love of sneakers and being able to create a relationship where if there's a shoe that releases in Denmark, skinny kid from Brooklyn doesn't have Denmark money, but he's got an email account. Or at that time, when it actually really mattered.
A beeper?
You're going too far back. You're going too far back. He's going too far back, y'all. I want to say a MySpace account. All right?
I think that's the same spot as the beeper.
With an AOL email address, yes, absolutely. But being able to use that level of primitive technology to continue to foster your mutual, relationship and friendship with people around the world and get something sent and shipped to you from across the world, a country you've never been to, and still be friends with this person and still have that mutual interest and connection to these folks because of these. My work in sneakers as an educator is because of him. Listening to him set his plan in motion and say to us when we were doing our podcast, you guys are actually teaching. So why don't you jump into that lane? That's where the future is. We should be doing that. Dwayne named social studies. He gave it that name. Because in seeing him transition, like taking what this means to him to the next level and thinking about what the future of the industry should be like, he could have just did it and not say anything and be like, oh yeah, I don't work for Nike no more. This is what I'm doing now. But he took me along.
That's the power of his personal calling, Sean, because he was obedient to it and he did it and he's kicking ass doing it. It impacts all of us, right? So that's the power of him answering that call.
Absolutely. Round of applause for Dr. Dwayne Edwards.
But that's the power of sneakers, though. The kid actually who designed these shoes, one of my former students, he didn't know how to speak English. And he came from Japan to Portland to learn how to design shoes. And by the end of that class, he was speaking English.
Wow. Look at that.
That's amazing. We have time for a couple questions, I think. We have a question. Did you have a question, sir? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you both for your contributions to the culture. Sean, I had the pleasure of speaking with you a few years ago. And Mr. Edwards, I've been to PLC a few times. Wanted to just again thank you both for your contributions. I know you mentioned that you don't want to be known for sneakers, but I actually became aware that you were a designer for Jordan kind of before COVID. Upon learning that, you really inspired me to go on and do a lot of great things. So while you may not want people to be known, you to be known for that. You could have inspired a lot of other people outside of myself. So I just wanted to again say thank you both for your contribution.
All right, bro.
Amen to that.
Yeah, pass that one around.
We have a mic right here in the middle. Go ahead.
What's your guys' favorite pair of shoes?
I don't have one.
3. I mentioned it already. Jordan 3. Easily.
We got a question over here.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been fascinating. For context, I raised my hand to both your questions. But something for me that's a step beyond comfort that I'm interested in, related to design, both fashion and form for shoes, or fashion and function, is the design of shoes that are for women, not just men's shoes, but that are designed for, how women's feet and legs and hips and everything are different. I'm curious if that's anything you're able to talk to, kind of as that interest in that has grown a little bit, and if that's, love to hear your thoughts on that.
So let me give you some insights. Heels weren't built for humans. As a human, you shouldn't be upright at that position for too long. It's going to hurt regardless. So it's not just the shoes that's causing that problem. It's the actual the physical body is not positioned to be able to do that until you get used to it. But I think women's footwear has come a long way once women started designing women's footwear. For decades, men were designing women's footwear. And that was a big challenge for the sportswear side of the business. There just weren't enough women in the industry, and I don't know what happened in the women's growth of creativity, where at some point it's almost like, dudes, you go play with some trucks, and ladies, you go play with the fashion stuff. And product design is a derivative of trucks and functional things. Fashion design is not that. And so you actually have a flip-flop. You will have, the fashion industry is probably 90-10 women to men, and the product design industry is probably 90-10 men to women. And so you have a brand like a Nike or an Adidas, their functional side of their business is all male-dominated. And so by default, you had men trying to interpret what women wanted. I don't know about y'all fellas.
That's never been a good
That
practice.
never works. That's a bad idea. And so there was this saying of in the footwear industry, shrink it and pink it. Yeah, that happened a lot, like decades a lot. But now there's more women that are embracing product design and functional design, and now you start to see women's product that's designed by women for women.
There have been some great female designers Jordan's brought in recently too. Yeah, a lot of great ones. Way up there in the back.
Hi, thanks so much for being here. I'm also a child of the 70s. I remember 1991 very well. And I remember there used to be so much hostility and suspicion in America towards style and aesthetics. And I would love your point of view on how sneaker culture has changed the American relationship with aesthetics and style and opened up our eyes.
Was that for me or Dr. Edwards?
Whoever wants the question.
Jump ball.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, you want to know where that changed in terms of the aesthetics and the culture? To sum it up, I'll say it again. Kids pay more to look the same now than we ever paid to be different. The root cause of that is, I think it's two things. We grew up in an era where we were celebrated for being different, where the current generation, a lot of people are being made fun of when they step out to be different. And that causes for a lot of people to sort of move into a safe zone where it's okay to fit into the box and be similar to everybody else because it's a safe space psychologically. We didn't care about a safe space psychologically because we grew up in a war zone. Inglewood, California, Brooklyn, New York, 70s and 80s, there was no safe space. So everything we did had to be a piece of self-expression for where we were from and how we had to navigate those conditions. Thankfully, a lot of those conditions that we grew up in, I won't say they don't exist anymore. They're different. I won't say they don't exist, but they're different. But we had to wake up and dress and move in a certain way that this current generation doesn't have to move. And they don't want the pressure of having to deal with stepping out and moving that way. We always had to move in a way where we stood out to be who we are individually in everything, where today it's okay for everybody to have on the same pair of Jordans that came out on Saturday when they go to school on Monday. We couldn't do that. It's okay for everybody to follow that TikTok influencer and buy that same thing and eat at that same restaurant or travel to that same place at the same time. It's a safe space for a lot of people. They didn't grow up in safe spaces. We didn't grow up in safe spaces, so we're not interested in that. But today's generation, a lot of folks are. Yeah.
Over here.
Thanks to the three of you for being here. When I grew up, and when the three of you grew up, sneakers looked this way and shoes looked that way. And you could tell right away, that's a sneaker, that's a shoe. More and more as the years go on, there's a blended footwear. And it's almost a case of, and I'd like to get your opinion on where that's going in the future, and will that become a whole new category where you can't tell if it's a sneaker or a shoe?
Yeah, that's called capitalism. I don't know how else to explain it besides that, but trust me, if there's an opportunity to sell something, America will figure out how to sell it. And yeah, sneaker-wise is the easiest touch point to connect those dots. But I would say though that the blurriness started with functional product is worn for non-functional purposes. So a lot of these retro Jordans, those were high performance sneakers at one point. But 80 to 90% of the time, they're never worn for their intended design function. And a little bit to the woman who asked the question previously, I'm not sure if she's still here or not, but at that time, the shoes were designed, she was over here, yes. The form followed the function. The form and the function dictated what it looked like. And that was the authentic way of creating product. And then people just decided, that looks too good to wear and beat up. And so that started that trend of not wearing performance product for its intended design purpose. And that's where lifestyle product comes in. And then those brands that didn't do performance product did lifestyle versions of those performance things. And it just kept going towards that direction. So it became a vision of the functional thing. And then it became more common to of course, I'm not going to go play basketball in those things. Of course, I'll just buy them and make them look good. And so that blurriness started to happen. But to Sean's point earlier, when you asked the question about the function side of it, we were on the Hill today and in the sneaker caucus, and 15 people had on hard bottoms. Okay, you missed the memo. You weren't supposed to come in the room with hard bottoms on. But then you have a brand like a Cole Haan, who was acquired by Nike at one point, and said, hey, let's add cushioning to hard bottom things. And then that became, yeah, this feels good.
And the top looks like a shoe and the bottom looks like a sneaker.
Yes. And so it just started that blended vision of what's possible, but I don't think it's going to continue, right? It's going to continue, and the footwear industry goes up and down. It's in cycles. Trends are trends. You'll see more blended things. There's some real stupid shit coming out. You seen those big red boots that dude did with the big red boots? You know what I'm talking about? There's cartoon things that people wear those things. It's ridiculous. And then I won't even talk about Crocs, but that's a whole nother thing. I'm sorry, there's other questions. I'm sorry.
I will say to your question, it's also about comfort. Sean mentioned it, and Dwayne referenced it. But if you look at 2012, we import in about 2.5 billion pairs of shoes every year as a society, and we have a 99% import penetration. So we bring in from foreign nations every single day. In 2012, we really started to see knit upper, textile upper, plastic upper shoes really skyrocket, and leather upper shoes just kind of peter out. Yep. And it's the casualization of society, right? And so the thought that I would be in a suit wearing sneakers, if you told me I'd be wearing this 10, 15 years ago, I'm like, that would look ridiculous. But thank God for guys like Mr. Moskowitz, because it's allowed us to be more comfortable. And it's kind of like, where have you been all my life? Why have we done this for a long time? And I think it's the casualization of society. So I think you'll continue to see those blended styles, because it does come down to comfort.
So I just looked down, because this is probably a rare moment you will see 3 people wearing 3 leather sneakers. No, I'm dead serious.
True.
Go into a Foot Locker, and it'll take you a minute to find a leather sneaker that's not 30 years old.
Time for one more right here.
I was curious about the evolution of materials and technology and how that impacted design. So is there a moment or a year that said, wow, this material wasn't available before, it's available now, and that's a game changer for design, for example?
You talking about the innovation of materials? And
yeah,
how
materials or technology or both.
Yeah.
Something that helped with design that you didn't have before, material-wise.
So I would say before Flyknit, basketball shoes were leather. Okay. Leather is flesh. It actually moves. It stretches, right? And so most basketball shoes are actually lined with canvas to reduce the stretch, so they can stay closely nice and tight. Leather basketball shoes transitioned into synthetic leather, because synthetic leather doesn't stretch. And so you start to see the big, I can't remember the names, you would know, the shiny pearl. Oh, actually the new KDs are like that now. Mm-hmm. But before that, it was the Hyper Dunks or Hyperlights.
Yep.
Where leather transitioned into synthetic for performance product, because it was a better functional performance material. And then that continued with what Matt said, the knit products. Mm-hmm. The knit products, it also helped with some duty challenges too, where getting over here, because it's cheaper duty-wise, where the knit product, similar. It was lighter, it was more cost-effective to manufacture, because it was basically a machine doing it, not a person. And there was a run on knit product. So our industry is not very innovative from the perspective of if something sells, everybody does it. And then they blow it out, and then everybody like, oh shit, I have too many knit shoes in my closet. I need to get something else. And then everything shifts all over again, right? But I think the future of footwear is materials. You design the material and figure out what shoe best goes with that material, instead of the other way around. You usually design the shoe and you decide what material complements the design you created, but materials will be the future of footwear.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I'm so grateful to know you, to be friends with you. I appreciate you coming and sharing your stories here for this audience. You guys are super busy, so thank you for coming to our beautiful city and spending time with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we appreciate you coming out to this event. Go to loc.gov. I don't even work for the Library of Congress, but I'll pitch it. Go to loc.gov for their many different summer events live at the library. We have the exhibit space still up out to the left if you want to go check that out. And Andrew, is there anything else I failed to mention? We're all good. So have a great evening, and thank you for coming.
All right, so that covers it. That was just the second part of what was a really interesting conversation around the impact sneaker culture has had on American culture. I got some great insights. These two guys have been my friends for many, many years, and every time I hang out with them, I learn something new. So I'm so grateful that they were willing to come to Washington, D.C., spend a time with us in our beautiful city, explaining and talking about the impact sneakers have had on us as a society. I'm really excited that you had a chance to listen in, and I encourage you to go to shoeandshow.com for all of our great episodes, and go to shoetube.org where you can see them visually, because it's really important that you check that out as well. And until next time, Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA. the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.